Life on the street for me was waking up wherever you were at and go to one of the churches, get something to eat, and then go to the library or to the park and hang out. There's no way for you to change, so you'd have to ask for, clothing, underwear, socks, gloves when it's cold, jackets, needed stuff all year round.
Pair of socks?
Sure. Thank
There
you,
you
sir.
go.
You felt like you wasn't wanted. You wasn't part of the crowd. I was an honest person trying to, make it from bad and make it good for me. Change my life around. I wanted to do something, but there wasn't much to do. My experience with Mitscoots was real good. Made me feel better about myself and earned an honest living and changed my old personality. That there was something to look forward to.
Oh, repeat, in case you wanted to watch it again. I'm really excited to be here. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for being here. Thank you, intro, Steve. That was wonderful. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that company here in a minute. First, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm going to do it one more time because I barely heard you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Wow, heck yeah, I love that. You guys have an energy. I got to perk up. That's that post-lunch, had too many donuts, I'm hitting the crash. I actually had like probably 4 cups of coffee, and then I just hit a Diet Coke. So if I take off in a minute, you'll bear with me as I flutter through the stage. You may not have seen, well, maybe you can see it. So this is just kind of like an intro, break the ice kind of moment. The name of the company is called Mitscoots. Mitscoots. And that is the hardest, silliest name on the planet. Why did I name my company something that people can barely pronounce? Let alone when we designed it, we were like, let's make it cursive. Let's just spell it impossibly. No. Here's a funny food for thought. We have this on our company vehicles, right? And we'll be driving by lights as we're either dispersing things to hand out or visiting some of our wholesale partnerships and taking care of, company business. And we'll see people at a stoplight, and they'll try to read it on the side of the car. And we're becoming keenly aware that no one knows what a cursive S is anymore. They get right to that point. You can see them mouthing it in their car. They're like, I give up. I give up. I don't care. So we could stand to do a little bit of rebranding. And hopefully I can find some talented people that can help me with that. Let me tell you a little bit about who I am that Steve maybe didn't fill in. Husband, father, veteran of the Air Force, also a professor at UT. Got any Longhorns in the audience? Hook 'em! I knew it. I was intent. I was like, if I mention UT, I'll get some hook'ems, and I know there's going to be an Aggie in the back. That's okay. Everybody needs a fallback. You're all right. Oh, it got real for a minute there. I hope we can get that rivalry going back again, though, because that was fun. It was just fun. Whatever side you want to be on the aisle for that. All right. I'm also the founder of a company called Mitscoots Outfitters. Let me tell you a little bit more about the company here in a minute, but also what I want to tell you today. I want to tell you about my company, how I came to be in that company, and why I started it. Why I intentionally built a company around homelessness, which is a complicated problem that a lot of us don't really know how to address. It's not simple. I won't deny that it's complicated. We can't change that. I will hopefully today give you a couple of tools that I've taken away from my experiences that you can then apply to this issue. It might give you some guidance in these moments where you aren't sure what to do. So, let's see. Well, I'll get into it in a minute. I also want to thank you one more time for being in this room. I have had some amazing conversations today. I actually just had one on the patio, and somebody said, "What are you going to talk about today?" And I said, "Probably all this stuff I just told you." So those two gentlemen are probably bored to death right now. I'm going to keep going anyway, because the rest of you don't know yet. I've had good conversations. There's quality people in this room. I think men that are taking leadership in their own lives and applying it to the people around them is significant. I thank you for being in here. I think you are men of integrity. I think you're men of service. And I think you're men of excellence. Now, oddly enough, those are the same core values of the United States Air Force. I think I saw an Air Force person over there? Yeah, all right. Integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all that you do. I heard that when I was like 18, and I was like, that sounds great. I live it today. And it took years for me to be able to apply that, not to just my life, but my company, my family, and almost every experience that I have through the day. I want to tell you guys about each one of those, how it applied to me, and hopefully how you can apply it in your life. I know there's some other veterans out there. You'll have to bear with me. I think Air Force is the best. Yeah. You can immediately see the Marines' eyes be like, no, 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 no. That's okay. I have the mic right now, so it's all me. Let me tie first with how that actually applies. The idea of having integrity and service and excellence are great things in and of themselves. The way that we apply them to the world around us is through relationship. You can be an integral person, but you must have a relationship with other people for it to be applied. Same with service and same with excellence. Now, I'm going to go through my story as to how I ended up with that company on each of those things and why it helps build relationship. And then when we're done with this, I'm going to work with you on a service project so that you can apply those things to make relationships out there in the world, specifically with someone that is homeless, because that's what needs to be done. And because it's hard. We don't do things in this room because they're easy. We're in this room because we're accepting that things are hard and we want to do something about it. Hopefully by the end of this, you'll have some tools to go and do that. Let me first tell you about what Mitscoots is. The video doesn't tell you everything. Mitscoots Outfitters is an Austin-based clothing and apparel company. Gosh, we make everything. Beanies, gloves, blankets, scarves, socks. You saw them, they're killer. You're welcome to get a pair. I know a guy. And we also donate for each one of those things. For everyone that's sold, whether online or through any of our roughly 250-ish retail partnerships that we have all around the country and internationally, we donate an equal item for someone that needs it. So socks, I give socks. Blanket, I give a blanket. Beanie, beanie. Same thing, one for the other. I just build it into the margins of the company. And it's not a piece of crud version. It's a good one. It's a lot of the military-grade government structure stuff that we send out. There's good stuff. Now, we take that a step further because, and I'll tell you later on, that's kind of just addressing the superficial needs. feed a man to fish, teach a man to fish. That's what we do. We actually employ individuals in need. They are our primary workforce. They do our packaging. They do our shipping. They help tell me when I'm being a jerk. They set the company culture. And through that, we're hopefully able to lift people off the streets and into a better situation. They're trying to transition out of a bad space, and we can often be that first step. And it's been good for a lot of people, particularly that gentleman up there, and I'll talk about him a little bit more in a minute. So how did I end up doing this? Steve had mentioned I did some stuff in high school, but I didn't really know what service was. I grew up in Katy, Texas. Who's been out to Katy? Almost everybody. It's like way, way over there, right? You know what also is not really out in Katy? Homelessness. There's some. You have some individuals that do panhandling on the street, but it is not something you walk past every day. How many people have been to Austin before? Raise your hand. Okay, you guys ever been over by campus? Right, have you heard of a place called The Drag? Okay. Yep. You are going to come across a number... 6th Street. I know what your Saturday looks like. So as you walk through, you come across a number of individuals that are of a wayward background. You don't really get that so much when you're in Katy, because you're in a car the whole time. At most, your touch point is somebody on the street corner. They look a little rough, and you have a lot of questions. And so that's just all I ever knew of it. I leave, I go to the military. I go and I see the world. Interesting places, things like that, what they tell you when you go into the military. What I definitely saw while I was in it was people that were in need. And if there was anything that was applied in my military forced education that I had, was that when you see a problem, you do something about it. If not you, then who? You're the front line. There's nobody behind you. Take care of it. When I left, when I was done with my military career, I went to UT, luckily, hook 'em horns. And while I was there, I would be walking up and down the streets, seeing these individuals in need, never really having a touch point as to what to do about it. It broke my brain. I wish I could tell you I took the right route and I instantly just was like, oh, my man, how are you? How can I help? What's your name? Here's $1. Let's go get some soup. Nope. I didn't do that because I didn't know how. It seemed like this incredibly complex, difficult problem. And like many of us, when we come across problems that seem complicated, we try to make it a simple problem that has a simple solution. It wasn't. So I would walk past, creating this narrative in my head where I'd say, oh, well, he or she probably made some bad choices. That's on them. They did their thing. I'm doing my thing. I'm making the right choices. Moving on. Hey, sorry. Best to you. I love you. All right, I got things to do, right? I would go to class. I did this through my graduate program, and and I hate this in a moment of weakness to tell you, I would sit in class. I would hate myself. I would absolutely hate myself because I was a cowardly move. Personally, I think as Christians, those uncomfortable moments are the ones that we need to step up. And I didn't do that at that time. And I still to this day really hate myself for that. But what I did do is I committed to learn more about it. Because I think that's what we're supposed to do when we come across these difficult problems. Not snap judgment as to why that problem exists, although you can have your opinions. What you need is some evidence to support those opinions. And so I went and I learned about it. And how do you learn the best? You go and experience. You volunteer. You get out there into the world. And so as Steve had mentioned, I started volunteering with my amazingly gracious girlfriend at the time, and now wife, with a wonderful group called Mobile Loaves and Fishes out of Austin, Texas. Has anybody heard of that group? No? Okay, a couple. What they have are these wonderful little mobile trucks. They're, your taco trucks. And they run out with all kinds of food on one side, and then all kinds of clothing on the other side. It's all donated items. It's supported by different groups and churches and organizations. And they go out to the parts of town that nobody wants to go to. And they help the people that everyone kind of would rather forget. Well, those are the people that I felt uncomfortable by, and my uncomfortable feelings should not be a reason to pass judgment. So go learn. Get in there. Start doing stuff. Well, what we found were just amazing people. Just beautiful, amazing, wonderful people that I had never, ever given the light of day. We would hand out socks, clothing, we'd give them a bite to eat. Better than that, we were having a touch point with somebody as a human, not as a problem, but as a human. And that's a powerful, powerful thing, relationship. This is where the integrity for me came in. Turn to the person next to you and say integrity first. Say it like you mean it, gentlemen. Integrity first. Hot damn. There you go. Twice is the magic here. All right. Integrity first. I was not a man with integrity in those moments until I got out into those communities and I saw what was going on. I was just preaching as though I knew, and I did not know. Going out and experiencing it, then I knew. Then I could say, I have integrity about this subject. I feel like I know it. And I am not 100%, I am always learning, and I will be. I'm okay with that. But that was the right step. Integrity first. We got to do this for many, many, many years as I was a student. And we were actually burning through some student loan money because we thought, wow, I want to go do this more often, and there weren't always truck runs. And we'll just do this on our own, too. You know, we live right on this big road. There's a lot of individuals in need. We walk to class all the time. I'll just take a pair of socks. I'll throw like a water bottle in there or some granola. I'll just pass them out all the time. And we were handing out tons. And we thought, boy, wouldn't it be cool if we could, call a company. Like a company out there. We'll call them. They'll give us all this stuff. We'll give it away. Problem solved. This will be great. But that didn't exist. And so I wish I could tell you at the time, again, that I was like, epiphany. All right, let's do it. I'm going to start this company. It's going to be great. But I didn't. I was selfish. I focused on what I thought a positive life trajectory was to success. And I got to tell you, I didn't find it. At least not the joy that I have now. And let me tell you how I was able to find that joy. That's the second. Turn to the person next to you and say, service before self. Service before self. Now, how many of you really understand that? There's some claims. I would say that I don't, even myself. What is service until you're put in a position where you feel so low, God, that you have to identify that this is not what I wish I was doing. That takes a hard moment. It's easy to volunteer when it's easy to volunteer. It's hard to volunteer when it's hard to volunteer. Service before self is something that I started doing when I moved on with my career. I went into the advertising world. I was going to do all kinds of fun things, making toothpaste sound interesting for the umpteenth million time. It's not. It's always the same toothpaste. And I was very, very disenchanted by that. I'd been told for God knows how many years, man, you just do this, you work hard, you get there, you boom, and you'll be done. I was doing it for me. Service before self. I had to find that out by volunteering on the weekends continuously with my wife, because even after we left school and we left where that direct problem was, we kept our hands in it because we knew there was something golden and magical about it. We kept doing it, and the more and more as the years would go on, all we were doing was pounding through the week, hoping for that volunteer moment at the end of the week. That was the joy. That 2-3 hours, what was carrying through our engagement and onto our marriage for so many years. And that, to me, felt so void of meaning. Had all these great skill sets that I had learned, was applying them to toothpaste. What am I doing with my life? Service before self is when I realized the relationships with those other people were what I wanted in this world. And it's when I was able to apply that skill set to actually get off my butt and make a company that helps address that problem, both in the superficial sense of giving people what they need, and then also with the hand-up opportunity to get somebody up and off the streets. Now, this is where the third of those elements, I'm going to do just 4 fingers, third came up. And that is excellence in all we do. Say it to your neighbor. Excellence in all we do. These are the 3 takeaways I want you to carry as you leave this room today. When we went into this, we did not do it half-heartedly. I was leaving my job to start an entire... How many people in here have started a company before? A couple of good entrepreneurs out there. Has anyone ever said it was easy? No. It's terrifying. You don't know what you don't know. Everyone's like, what? That's crazy. They tell you a little side note, right? My wife, absolutely way out of my league, right? Beyond measure. She is originally from Poland. And her family, not kidding, came to the United States when the wall came down and there was no longer communist Poland. And her family was like, American freedom. Let's do this. We can be anything. We can, finally, we can get here. They came here. They worked their butts off, right? Her dad is just this stalwart East European Catholic. And if you've ever met some, that's a straight line for sure, right? And she's akin to that too. And we're married now. I've got this successful advertising career. I get to wear shiny suits and look important. And I'm empty. And we both aren't living our best lives. And so I decide I'm going to quit. I'm leaving. What was my plan? I didn't have another plan. It was just, I'm going to do this thing. And one of the most terrifying conversations I've ever had in my life is talking to her father about what I was going to do. And say, hey, Walt, or Valdemir. No, Valdemir, tell you about my story. Hey, I got this great idea, right? I'm going to start a sock company. Because that's all we had when we first started. It was just ugly. Oh, they were so ugly. Oh, they always tell you when you start like a project, like your first iteration of something should be just a little bit embarrassing. So embarrassed by that thing. You can't find a picture of them. I've tried to eradicate them from this earth. I told him, I was like, I'm going to start this company. We're going to make socks. Better yet, let me do you one more. I'm going to give away half of them for free. To who? Let me tell you. You know that rough-looking guy on the corner that everyone's kind of nervous about? Yeah, I'm going to give him to that guy. And then I'm going to make a whole building full of that guy, and I'm going to invite your daughter to come and hang out in that room as often as possible, and we're going to be a big, happy family. We're just going to make socks together. Millions. Oh, my God, he did not take that well. Imaginably. He's on board now, mind you. He's one of our biggest supporters, actually, but proof is in the pudding kind of situation. Excellence in all we do. That's a moment that I took seriously, having that conversation with him. And I knew, if I'm going to do this, you're going to do it. You're not going to half-ass it. Excuse my language. You're going to do it. You're going to do it right. Because you're trying to help people. Those people matter. Those people deserve your tenacity to do it right. Whatever you do, you should be a professional, right? In this room, whether you sweep a floor or you're the executive of a multi-billion-dollar company, you should be a professional in whatever it is you do. You be the best at it that anyone has ever been. And I thought, well, this thing has never existed before. How do I even be good at it? Give away extra? Sell more? I don't know. But that's when we decided to implement the employment structure. Because at the time, there were companies, if you've ever heard of Tom Shoes, right, the one-for-one shoe company. That was like a big model. Everyone was like, well, you buy one, and we'll give one away. And then problem solved, right? It's not. I wish it was, but problems are complex, and that's another one. You give somebody shoes, they're still going to need more shoes in a year. If I give that gentleman on the street a pair of socks, he's going to need another pair. You know how long they last on the street? Does anybody have a guess? Throw it out there. Yeah, it's a couple of days to 2 weeks at most. We actually have gone through product testing, and that's how we determine what we sell in the open market. So when I have new stuff coming in from our factories, we say, oh, which one do we want to sell? I say, go give it to him and her. Let them wear it. We'll check in after 2 weeks. If it's still good, that will be what we sell to everybody. Because it's not like we have a special sock that we donate and then a fancier one for you. We beat the holy heck out of them with the people that need it the most. Well, if it can survive out there, it's going to survive on you for quite a while. But that's not enough. What else can we do? I'd like them to not be homeless. Well, I can't give them a house, although I'd sure love to. What can I do? I can give them opportunity. If I'm going to start a company, I can make that opportunity for myself, and I can grow it, and I can make it for them too. And so we made a hard choice to employ one of the most unemployable segments of the human population. And I will not tell you it's easy. I would no longer have the integrity that I hold so dear. It's hard. It's really hard. Anybody in here in human relations? Raise your hand. No? Okay. But all right. Everybody knows HR, right? Okay. This is relations on like a whole nother level. The point, though, is that it is relations. It is relationships. And in my opinion, that's one of the strongest things that we're able to bring to the table. It's not that we gave somebody a hat, beanie, socks, glove, blanket, although those are very important things and they need them. It's not even that I gave them the job, because I didn't give them the job. They earned the damn job. They deserve to be there in that job. That's them. What I actually give them that they didn't have before is relationship. That's one of the most significant reasons, in my opinion, as to how somebody can end up in that position. You know, becoming homeless is not a light switch. It's not like you had cars and a big house and then all of a sudden you had a drug addiction and boom, you're on the street. It's a long, long road, right? And for a lot of us, we have relationships, and those relationships are what keep you from going down that drain a little bit further. At some point, your brother steps in and says, "You're acting a fool, man. You can't do this." Or your mom calls you and she says, "Just lock it up. Lock it up." Maybe you have a community group, you've got a church, you have a pastor, you have a friend. Hopefully somebody steps in, and that's our job, by the way, gentlemen, to step up. But if they don't have that, you keep going, you keep going, and you keep going. It's a long process. And so what's the process back up look like? Same thing. Relationship, relationship. You can't throw 250 out the window and think it's going to be solved. We do that for us. I mean, it can help them in the immediate, but we often do that because I don't know what to do here. This makes me uncomfortable. Here's a few bucks, man. I don't know. And you drive off. At least you drive off and you're like, well, all right. I did my thing today. Say it with a smile and ask what the name is. Who are you? Why are you? Let's talk again tomorrow. Relationship is the thing that I think we all strive for in humanity. It is the thing that makes us better people. It's the thing that connects us. It's the thing that can take someone who feels hopeless and at the end want to turn it all around. And it takes us having to step in and take that leadership role. That takes excellence in all you do. Taking that next step to do the difficult thing to make that relationship. The absolute greatest moment of my professional career was going to the housewarming party of that man Ellis. His name is Ellis. He had been living in Austin, Texas on the streets for about 5 years. He's okay with me telling you this story, by the way. He's a very close friend now. He got in trouble with drugs. He came from a rough childhood. That's not to excuse the choices that he made, but to help you understand the trajectory of how somebody gets there. Get in trouble once, get in trouble again, get in trouble again. Gets harder to get out of. Then you don't have the money to pay the bills, and wow, where are you now? Then it's rough, right? 5 years. You could see it on his face, as leathered as you could ever imagine. I've seen high points for people in their life. I have been to retirement ceremonies, I have been to celebrations, I've been to graduations in the upkeep bajillions of times. I cannot explain to you the joy in someone's eyes of becoming no longer homeless after 5 years. And it wasn't a mansion, it wasn't even that glorious, it was an RV. It was just a rough RV that somebody had said, "I'll give it to you for this much." We helped him earn it, he bought it, it was his. Rinkety little TV, AM radio, but his own. That joy I cannot measure for you. The fact that I got to be part of that in any sense because of my integrity, my service before self, or the excellence in something that I was doing so that I could build that relationship, the single greatest thing I've ever done. Now I hope I get to do it many, many more times, as we've done with a couple other employees. What more could you hope for with your professional career? Let alone, why not apply that to the rest of your life? You don't need to come work for me to do the things that I've done. You can do them from your own car. Here at the end of this talk, I'm going to help you do it, hopefully sometime this week. I'm honored to have built those relationships. I'm honored to have been a part of that relationship or to help spur it along in whatever measure. I would challenge you today to leave this place with integrity. First. Not something later on. Service before self. And excellence in all that you do. Thank you for your time and attention. If you guys will bear with me for just a minute, thanks, it got kind of heavy there at the end there, but I'm a more lighthearted guy, I promise. I want to introduce you to a service project that we're going to do together, all right? I want to tell you what the point of this service project is. We're going to make a thing that's called a care canister. This is what I used to give out when I was in college. I keep these in my car all the time. I've had them for years. They are the single greatest relationship builder I've ever seen. Forget online dating, any of the apps. This right here is how you meet people and how you build true great relationships. I'll tell you a little bit about what's in them. A bite of food, something to brush your teeth, some hygiene supplies, a pair of socks. These are called freshies on the street, if you don't know, and people get real jazzed about them. So we're going to be putting these together here in a minute. I want you to understand the meaning of this, because it's really, really, really easy to see it as a superficial thing that you're doing on a Saturday to give back and have this little touch point on good deeds. This is not. This is important. This is you. You own this canister. You're independently all going to make your own. Carry it into this world. Find someone that you think needs it. Build a relationship with that person. This is just the touch point to start the relationship. You can help some immediate needs, but use it to dig a little deeper, be uncomfortable with yourself, push past that, and do what I think God tells us to do, to have relationships that are godly and in the right walk with Christ. That sound good? Now, one of the things that's in here that's really important, too, is a note. You're going to have to write a note. How many of you thought you were going to have to write today? You're like, geez, come on, man. Now, we've got these. They're all set up over at the table over there. And this is also one of the really important parts of the relationship building process. I've done this thousands upon thousands of times with thousands of volunteers. You could, if you choose to, write, hey, bud, hang in there. You know, a little hang in there kitten poster or something. I've seen people draw that. Smiley face, bro. If you want that, then that's fine. I would encourage you strongly, dig deep in the moments that you're writing this card and think about yourself in that position. Have empathy for someone else, which is that first step to really understanding a problem. What would you want to hear? Maybe it's laughter. That's fine. Maybe it's something serious. Maybe it's something Christ-based. It's up to you. But take that next step. Dig a little deeper in yourself and write something that has meaning. You're going to put it in here with all the other stuff. We're going to wrap it into a bag with some other food items, and you're going to leave today with it. Keep it in your car or bring it with you on your walk to work. When you see somebody in need, you give it to those people. Now, we actually have one of the videos of some of the men's group that actually did this. I'm going to pass it over to Jim, who wanted to introduce this and let you know exactly the story behind it and why it had meaning. Thank you again for your time. You're good men.